try before we die with a bearded man and a British guy.
Hey Mal.
How's it going, Cole?
It's good, man. Try before we die.
That is right.
Our whiskey review show where we randomly pull a bottle and we open it, whether it's commonly available or pretty rare.
Correct.
Listen, did the doorman not get here in time to keep the riffraff out?
I don't know, but there's certainly some riffraff in here now.
There is. We're just going to play it cool, okay?
Okay.
Felix, our friend from the paintball team, is here. Felix, you've seen the show, right?
Yes.
Welcome on set. It's really great to have you here. I'm really hopeful we'll end up with a bottle that you can tell us something you know about. But we only find out what we're drinking by pushing this button. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Here we go, everybody. Try before we die. Let's see what it is today. Bottle number 142. So that actually is going to bring me to right behind Malcolm. So I'll see everybody over there and we'll find out what we're drinking. Okay, everybody, it's bottle pull time. Number 142. Well, we know we're at 98, 108, 118, 128, 138, 39, 40, 41, 22. Brings us to Malcolm's favorite region, Speyside. And we have a Glenrothes. This is the Bourbon Cask Reserve. No age statement. I believe this is still available. We have a 40% ABV, and they are asking us to pay attention to vanilla, coconut, pears, and creme brulee. So this Speyside release from Glenrothes appears to be a sweet release. We'll find out when we open it and taste it at the bar. Glenrothes, the Bourbon Cask. Hey guys, did you hear what it was?
Speyside.
Speyside.
Right, mine.
It's got teeth.
Holy hand grenade.
Holy hand grenade, which is a what?
Glenrothes.
It's the Glenrothes, the holy hand grenade of Antioch.
Okay.
Yeah. So we pulled the Glenrothes Bourbon Cask Reserve. A no age statement, still available, currently in the shops.
Is this like the fourth one we've done out now?
We've had, Glenrothes is really prolific in their releases. So yes, quite likely. So this is asking us to pay attention to vanilla, coconut, pears, and creme brulee, the Bourbon Cask Reserve. So let's get these tops off. I do love that little ding dong.
Looks light.
It's very light. We'll talk about it, but let's get it opening. Now this, I believe, again, this is the deal, everybody. We open these bottles. There's no going back now. Let's get rid of this. Here we go. One of our favorite parts, Felix, is the of the cork.
Oh.
Go ahead. What do you
That
think?
was lively.
That was lively.
Come on.
That had some nice sound to it.
Yeah.
And I even got a little splatter. Did you catch any?
No, I'm fine.
All right, here we go. Oh, it gurgled quite a bit. Still gurgling. I think that's the bottle. There we go. The Glenrothes Bourbon Cask Reserve. Let's get it capped and breathing. Well, I'm going to talk to Felix for a second. Malcolm, will you look up Glenrothes?
I could do that.
Felix, now you're on the paintball team, pub crawling. We've talked a lot about pub crawling on this show. What is your team name?
Bop.
Now, Bop. Bop, a loom bop, a bing bang boom. Is that what it? Is that it? Is that what?
It's from the song by Hanson, the Three Young Brothers.
Why would you have a name, a paintball name based on Hanson? Can help everybody understand that. Where'd that come from?
After a rigorous day of paintball on 60 acres in Fayetteville, Tennessee, on the Tennessee-Alabama border, we went into a diner as a team, dressed in our camos.
I'll stop you there. When he says diner, if you're familiar with the Blues Brothers, we're talking about Bob's Country Bunker kind of diner.
and there were more John Deere hats than I've ever seen before in my life. And I noticed that the jukebox had played Don't Stop Believing 4 times in a row and went, this is ridiculous. So I went and put a couple quarters in, and I said, you know what would be funny? If I play Hanson's Bop.
Now, you said that to yourself.
Yes.
Because we were all over at our table
Having-
trying to decide if the food was even going to be safe to eat.
And normally you put a quarter in or a dollar in, whatever, and 7 days later, your song comes up and you go, hey, I bought that song. But instead, came right up, immediately turned around, every John Deere hat in the building went, whoop.
While you're standing right there wearing our paintball uniform, while we're all sitting over there wearing the same thing, so there was no escaping that we were together.
No. And I went straight into the white man's overbite. And then I grabbed some old lady and started spinning her around, and thus, Bop.
Right. So that's happening, and we're all like looking at like 3 items on a menu that says breakfast, lunch, dinner. And we start to hear Bop, Bop. Right, and we're just like, what is going on? And we look over, and there is Felix doing the thing, and it was, oh, are we gonna get out of here alive?
I thought
Probably only successfully left because it was still daytime. Yeah, so it would have been hard to sort of get all our bodies out the back door.
I had a double purpose with grabbing the old lady. She was also my shield.
So this is Bop, everybody. And that's how you get your name on the paintball team. You do something embarrassing or regretful, and you get it forever. You don't get to pick your own name.
No.
Right.
You earn it.
Did we tell you your name was Bop in that moment, or did you just get a jersey one day that said Bop?
You surprised me with a jersey.
Yep. It's almost like Animal House, and your Delta Pi name will be Flounder. And why Flounder? Right. You are Bop.
Lived with it, love it, proud.
And that's it. What do we got about Glenrothes while this continues breathing?
All right, so we're going to play the same game that we usually do. It's another one that's actually in the region of Highlands, but they call themselves a Speyside.
Right, because all Speysides are Highlands, but not all Highlands are Speysides. Yes.
And then the actually interesting part of this is the address of the distiller is at Rothes, Arbor. So it'll be interesting to see if they're actually both in the same town, based on the fact that...
Right. Now, is that the town? Is it Dufftown?
Rothes is this town.
Rothes, okay. Yep.
So,
yep. Now, this won't be in the book,
nope.
This particular release, because this is a much newer release versus the edition of the book we have. Anything about the distillery that jumps out, and then we'll talk about the actual whiskey we're going to drink today.
Really, in 2002, the company also introduced its own range of bottlings from other distilleries under the rubric Berry's Own Selection. And the reason I bring that up is Berry's began in the 1690s selling tea, groceries, and wine. Cutty Sark, the drink, was launched in the 1920s.
So I know I've just run off of set. Perhaps you can hear me. I think Malcolm is referencing this independent bottling.
Correct.
Berries, right? So this is an example of what Malcolm just brings up. So Malcolm is asking us to believe, and I believe him, that this is a product of the Glenrothes, a little side money-making project they have. So we'll just set that down here, and let's pass these out, guys. So what we do, Felix, is we keep the lids on. You'll notice these lids have a lot of movement, so it can breathe, but still trapping aromas. Let's just talk a little bit about color, Felix. Something you're noticing. Give us, equate this to something. What color is this? And so I'll go first just so that you understand what we're asking. I might say something like a light straw, like a hay, hay. So what color are you picking up? You can use another alcohol, you can use a maple syrup chart, you can use a furniture polish. What are you seeing?
Morning sunlight.
That's that Shakespearean background.
That is really good. There is truly a Shakespearean background.
I'm actually going to put it right in there and say apple juice.
Yeah, apple juice, right? Yeah. Perhaps like a Granny Smith or something, a very light apple. Okay. It is a very light whiskey.
Yes.
All right, so now let's pull these and see what we're nosing. And that first nosing should be the punchiest because we've trapped those aromas.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm getting some of that apple.
Vanilla, coconut, pear, and creme brulee. So
That's appley.
yeah, we've often picked up green apple, right?
I'm going like an older apple, like a, what are the North ones called?
And actually, I'm gonna.
Oh, now creme brulee. You said it.
I'm gonna
Now
go.
that's sugary.
That apple I think you're smelling is more vanilla
Right.
from the creme
It
brulee.
is. It is vanilla.
Right. And again, that vanilla makes sense because we know we're coming out of a bourbon cask, right? So, and obviously we know it has to be oak, and that bourbon cask is well known for releasing some vanilla flavors, right? I mean, they're referencing a lot of sweet, right? From subtly sweet, coconut, apple, to a much more sweet vanilla into that creme brulee, right? So that's just all on the nose they're asking us to think about. They're not differentiating on nose and palate, so we're going to find out what we taste in this as well. So certainly nothing like, oh, on the nose, more like it's inviting.
Yes.
Yeah,
Almost sweet, sugary.
right. And that's that really spectacular thing about Scotch whiskey, which is that it is so much more than you think it is when you don't know anything about it.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, let's have a little. Little tasting. I noted it when I pulled the bottle. This is a 40% ABV, which is the lowest available. Creme brulee.
Up front.
I really pick up on it.
Up front.
Yep. There should be
Strong.
transitional flavors.
Strong, warm burn right here.
Yep.
And then it disappears.
But ending right there too.
yes, and
right?
then it disappears.
Right. That's the punch.
You can pull that bourbon cask as well. You get that feeling that you've got a bourbon in your mouth if you hold it in there for a little while.
Yeah.
But definitely that creme brulee is on the front, the very, very beginning. Very,
And
very
that
beginning.
bourbon goes wide across your
Correct.
tongue. Yep.
And easy going based on due to that 40%.
Not a lingering finish. Not medicinal. Clearly no smoke, no peat, no ocean, no seaside. These things about these no age statement whiskeys is that we know there at least has to be 3-year-old whiskey in here, but they could have vatted together a 25-year Glenrothes with a 6-year-old Glenrothes to create this profile, right? We don't know the ages in here, but a no age statement does not necessarily mean it's completely young, right? It just means they chose not to label it with age because whatever they label has to be the youngest whiskey in there.
Always.
So it might require to be a 6-year-old if they were to label it, but that doesn't mean there's not 20-year-old whiskey in here. So oftentimes they'll go with a no age statement.
But why choose the bourbon barrel?
Almost 90+%, and I make numbers up, everybody, but it's a huge number, will always be a bourbon barrel, right? And then they can finish in a sherry, a sherry barrel, or a port, or a cuvee cask like the Glenfiddich, or a rum cask. Now and then you'll see a virgin cask, meaning it didn't hold something before, but bourbon is an incredibly common because the charred oak on the inside, they get a lot from Maker's Mark, they get Jack Daniels, they get Jim Beam, because by law in America those barrels can only be used so much and then they ship them off, and so the flavors are ready to release when they hold the Scotch.
Well, you're definitely getting it from this.
Yeah, right. It is. I'm enjoying this.
No, and just
Light.
Very light.
Yeah.
And if you hold it in your mouth or you sip it and take it down really quickly, you still get the same trip. It's not like it actually changes. Like sometimes you get like a different feel because you roll it around your mouth or whatever. Yeah. This one you actually can do both ways, and actually it's just nearly the exact same.
Right. And bourbon is so different in its tasting than Scotch. Right. You
Yes.
and I actually had a couple of drinks last night. Bourbon to me is a much sweeter drink, front to back.
And wetter, not as dry.
Right. Yeah. Agreed. The Glenrothes Bourbon Cask Reserve, still available, at least in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Very light. Presents well, presents sweet. That creme brulee shows up. We're picking up some apples. They're asking us to think about pear. We're in agreement on the vanilla. Here's the question before we move on. I find no coconut in here.
0.
No, I didn't.
Yep. So they ask us. So again, palates are different, but our palates are in agreement that we're not picking up the coconut
No.
anywhere on nose or taste or finish. Yep.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice bottle of whiskey
Yeah, I think out of all the ones we've done, I think actually this is my favorite at the moment.
of the Glenrothes.
Yes.
Yep.
I like the fact that it's in that bourbon.
Yep. Yep. And so sometimes people can be wrong. But that is actually high praise from Malcolm.
No,
right? That this is a nice, easy to drink. This is easily drank middle of the day.
Yeah.
Right? You're not fighting with this.
Oh, 2 o'clock. This opens.
Yes. Yep. All right. Well, we've enjoyed the Glenrothes. So let's move on to see what the crew has prepared for us to sign off today on Try Before We Die, the whiskey review show where we don't know what we're drinking, but we'll tell you what we're thinking. Well, Felix, this is for you. And I will be happy to toast you, Felix. Felix, to your good health. May you live to be as old as your jokes.
That ain't fair. Come on.
If anybody knows Felix out there, and some of you do, you know an evening with Felix is an evening of jokes. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. Yeah, that's really good.
This is great.
Very easy.
That was a very light, somewhat classic example of a Glenrothes, but in their finish, they really heavily focused on this bourbon finish, which brings out that vanilla and brings out that apple or that pear. It's very sweet.
No, and the glass that you had before this, when we were outside, I actually think enhanced what we were doing over here.
Yeah.
Because we had that wash already, and I have that bourbon. That was really
Well,
good.
that's interesting because I had a glass of a sherry finish earlier as we were preparing the set, and so this really is a contrast. So this light freshness is really showing up.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. Would you buy a bottle, Felix?
Now. Yeah. Where's the liquor store?